Hi guys, it's Sarah. This is a continuation of my responses to a recent AMA I posted on Reddit. I just do these videos because they're a lot faster than typing out the information and I can be a lot more detailed. So Joseph Odesho 1234567 asked, please post anonymizes resume plus advice you would give your past self before getting these internships. So in an earlier video, which you can find on my YouTube channel and also just linked above in response to the first comment on this thread, I have a list of like everything I sort of did or had on my resume to get my first internship at Microsoft. Once I had an internship at Microsoft, I put that on my resume. That obviously I think helped me to get an interview at Google. And then, you know, Microsoft already wanted me to come back the next summer and I declined them to go to Google. So the following summer, they asked again if I would return and I decided to, and then ended up doing 2 internships that summer, which was, I learned a lot for sure, but I'm not sure I would ever recommend that to anyone. It really helped for full-time offers because I had a lot of negotiating power to get my offers raised higher. Usually when you're just finishing a internship, you haven't had time to interview with other companies yet, and companies like Microsoft and Google know that, and so they can actually sort of, well, they don't always do this, but they can lowball you for a full-time offer because they know that you probably don't have any other offers lined up yet, and they'll do something like give you 2 weeks to give a response. So it really helped because I had 2 offers almost immediately for full-time offers, so I was able to really negotiate my starting salary with Google, and that was really nice. Anyway, so as far as advice I'd give my past self before getting these internships, I would just say have a lot more confidence in yourself and don't be intimidated. If you're working hard and you're learning a lot, you can offer value to these companies, and you shouldn't doubt that. Even if you don't get an internship at a big company, that doesn't mean you're not a good engineer. And yeah, I remember my first interview at Microsoft. They flew me in, and the day of the first in-person interview, I was sitting in a waiting room, and they had like all the other people interviewing right then for Explorer sitting in the same room. So there's probably like 60 other students sitting in the room with me, and we were introducing ourselves. I think the idea was to help like make you more relaxed because you're like, oh, there's all these other people my age interviewing. If anything though, for me, it just terrified me because as we're going around introducing ourselves, a lot of times the question would start off with like, hi, what's your name? What school do you go to? What year are you? And everyone I was talking to was going to schools like Stanford and Harvard and Yale and Columbia, and it's just like all these, or like the UC schools. And I just remember thinking like, oh my gosh, I don't stand a chance. I go to a tiny state school. Well, it's not tiny, but the CS program is tiny. And I was like, all these people go to like these amazing CS programs. Like they know so much more than me. There's no way I'm going to pass these interviews and they're going to get hired and I'm not. And honestly though, I think I had more experience than a lot of those people, but at the time I wasn't putting weight on that. I was just putting weight on like, oh, their program is better than mine, so I'm not as good as they are. And the truth is, like, you can be a great engineer without going to an amazing CS program. It really is a lot more about the time and intentionality you put into practicing what you're learning and studying, and also like you can get bad test scores and you can still be a great engineer and get internships. You could have bad grades and still be a great engineer and get good internships. And these companies know that, and they're not really totally judging you on your grades, on the school you go to, on how many projects you've done even. For sure those are things that on your resume get looked at and can help you get to an interview round. But once you're at the interview round, what I've noticed is a lot of times the interviewer honestly might not even have looked at your resume. They might not really know anything about you. They're just trying to see, do they understand like basic core concepts of software and coding? Do they understand data structures? Do they understand algorithms and algorithm analysis? And how well can they demonstrate that on a whiteboard given a question? And even if you don't know what they're asking, how well can you talk through the question they've given you and how well can you explain what you do understand and what you don't understand, and then use logic to maybe get to somewhere, even if you don't totally know what the question is asking. So just don't be intimidated. That's really the best advice I would give my past self. You have the ability to be just as good as anyone near you. And yeah, that might take you putting a lot more work in. Some people are just naturally pick up coding a lot easier. But when I started off, like my freshman year, I remember talking to someone who'd had an internship at Microsoft, and they were talking about linked lists, and I was thinking, I have no clue what a linked list is. Like I think I had a very small understanding. I'd seen it before. I had bought Cracking the Coding Interview by Gail McDowell and was reading through it. And at the time, really all I knew was string manipulation. And I was like, I don't know what arrays are. I don't know what linked lists are. I don't know what hash maps are, what trees are, what graphs are. This was before I'd started my first CS course. And it was extremely intimidating. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to learn this stuff well enough to get into one of these companies. And the truth is, like, I look back on it now and that was just stupid. I think honestly that was a way of me avoiding like hard work, is just telling myself, well, I'm going to fail no matter what, so there's no point in starting. Thankfully I got past that mentality and realized that with hard work, honestly, you can, I mean, the difference between people who are great at what they do and who aren't usually is hard work. It's not innate talent. And there's lots of books written on that. You can go look into that. I think Malcolm Gladwell has actually written some great books on like why certain people are amazing at what they do. And it's almost never from talent that you have when you're born. It's usually from hard work. So, yeah, I'd say just go for it. Apply to all the big companies you want to work for, even if you don't think you can get an internship with them. Like, just try. Because what's worse than like trying and failing is always wondering what would have happened if you had tried. At least for me, that's a lot worse. So hope that helps. I'm sure you can do it, Joseph, and best of luck to you.